Hello and welcome to Ula Tea Leaf Readings. My name is Lenor and tonight I'm going to be reading your tea leaves. This is a horoscope for Pisces. If Pisces is your solar, lunar, ascendant/rising sign, then this is a message for you. Okay, let's get started. Okay, knock, knock, knock. Let's see what these tea leaves have to say. All right. Okay, we have a pretty large moon there, crescent moon. Okay. All right. Well, I hope you all are doing well. I am enjoying our beautiful weather here. It's been warmer, sunnier, and then stormy and thundery. So, all in the same day. So I'm liking it. I'm enjoying it. All right. So this cycle, I am using the Jungian Tarot by Robert Wang. This is the Queen of Swords. And this is really, I find this one to be very beautiful. It's not really necessarily my favorite kind of school of art. It reminds me very much of like the 70s kind of occult look. And really, I think it says this was 87. So, I mean, that kind of makes sense. But it's beautiful. And let's talk about the Queen of Swords because Pisces, last week we had the Princess of Swords. So it seems like this must be attached to the last reading. There's some kind of evolution happening. And we know that the Queen of Swords is air on air, so razor sharp mental clarity, right? Wanting to kind of just cut right through all of the facades, the masks, the BS, just kind of lies and pretense and all this stuff just has to go. But this is also very much kind of the diplomatic mother who can be restrictive of emotions to some degree, but has all of the right things to say to kind of, get you to come along with her in her understandings of things. So this can be good, this can be bad. We'll figure out how this is going, okay? I want to look at, we have this crescent moon, okay? And I think that lunar energy is really important here. We have a pouring out of this of the fullness of the moon. We have a feeling of a little bit of relief from kind of the emotional. It's almost like a demented emotional not rush, but kind of like rushing over you, really just all encompassing, and let's talk about the situation that we talked about last week. If you haven't seen last week's reading, you don't have to see it, but you might want to go back and watch it just to get some idea. I'm going to go over kind of the highlights. So we were talking about a person that was kind of in your life, who comes to you often, probably often, for advice, support, kind of just to vent to you, they don't often take your advice. Okay, we all know somebody like that. But this person seems to be in a really tumultuous kind of relationship. It's troubled. It could be borderline abusive. I don't know. But it seems like, you know, it's not an ideal situation. So, of course, this is emotional for you. This is somebody you care about. I had felt that maybe it could even be like a child, one of your adult children, or somebody that you had been a caretaker for, but now they might be adults or young adults. They kind of continually kind of suck you into their chaotic situation. And then as, you know, you give advice, probably really, you know, good advice, they don't take it. Things seem to stabilize, and, you know, they go about their business of their life, and you go about and the next thing you know, it's right back to just this emotional wreckage going on. Okay. I think that you just really are you are past the point of wanting to be part of this, engaging in it, maybe even to some degree enabling some of the behavior, especially if you're helping financially, and so on. I think that it's caused some problems in your own life, probably, right? Especially if you yourself are in a relationship and you're constantly being kind of drug into this thing. It changes how you're feeling about life, your moods. You know, you're really, when something like this is happening, when somebody is unwell, or they're in a situation that's kind of making their life unwell, and you get dragged into this kind of caretaker, savior, you know, kind of role, it can really take away from other parts of your life, of course, because you have so much attention and resource and, you know, time invested into it. And it doesn't ever seem to, it's like a, you know, like a bucket with a hole in it. You're just trying to fill it up. It's just pouring right out the bottom. So, now we were talking about this with the Princess of Swords, okay? I feel that it's really, I mean, I just really think that you're at the point where you're just ready to cut it off. Okay, and I see here, over in this one, kind of, it looks like a person, the top of a person, the head, their arms kind of up. It looks like they have some kind of like blade, right? And I feel like it's just this, I'm done. Time to just cut this off. I'm cutting it off, setting those boundaries, hard boundaries, okay? Getting yourself out of the middle of the situation, not taking the phone calls, not, you know, sending the money, or, you know, giving them rides, or you know, bailing them out every time something goes wrong or whatever. And that's hard. That's so hard. And I know, maybe I didn't, I don't know. But, if this is like an issue of like also addiction involved in this, I just wanted to mention that there are groups like Al-Anon that are really helpful for people who are family members of people who are in addiction. I don't know if I don't know what there is for people who are family members of people who are in like constant crisis, or have mental health, or maybe in like an abusive relationship. I'm not sure, but I'm sure there are resources out there as being a support person. You just kind of got to look. So, you know, if you're in that situation where you are the person that is supporting somebody like this, and it's hard to make those boundaries, know how to do that, I think it's important to kind of look up what kind of support groups or, you know, maybe like educational, you know, I don't know, some kind of community education or mental health. They have that in America. They have something called NAMI, which is I don't know what the acronym's for exactly. Mental, I don't know, but it's NAMI, and that's another good one to look in for mental health stuff. Anyways, I feel like you have gotten to a point where you really are setting boundaries, okay? And now you're gonna have more space in your life, I feel, to focus on some of the things, hopefully focus on some of the things that you've been wanting to do. This is going to be hard emotionally, to kind of shift out of that turmoil, because when you're living in, you know, a life that is not, you know, stable, if your life is stable for the most part, right? And somebody adjacent to your life, or you're, you know, constantly going and helping somebody whose life is very unstable, it's hard to kind of get out of that and decompress. We get into, we're just, as beings, we become acclimated to things way more quickly than sometimes we should. And we get into these cycles of starting to think that this is a normal, or, you know, this is how life is. And so when you step out of a situation like that, that's really intense and emotional, and constantly having to problem solve and figure things out, and it can feel really strange to be in a more stable, consistent, quiet, mellow lifestyle. Okay, and sometimes you bring that stuff into your own life. You create situations in your own life to mimic some of that chaos, because that's what you've gotten used to having around. So you need to be mindful of that, definitely. But I think that you really have made a choice to kind of exit this this thing that's happening, this dynamic. At least step back, okay? I don't think that you're abandoning anybody, but I think that you're setting some healthy boundaries, okay? So let's talk about, what are you going to be doing? And here's kind of a question mark right here. What will you be doing with this time and energy that you have? I want to look at it. Okay, and I kind of see this outline of a person with their arm kind of out, and it looks like they're pointing. I see an X here, just done, right? But it feels like they're kind of pointing, and I'm looking over here, beyond the X, and we have this kind of, it looks like a goat that's kind of laid out, like kind of laying down, resting. Okay, so I feel that very much this reminds me of kind of like a spirit guide, or some kind of person wearing like an animal suit, or maybe half person, half animal, something, but it seems otherworldly, let's say. I think that this is somebody, or some kind of intelligence that is very much right beside you, very active. It's such a clear formation that I feel like this is part of why you are finally just saying, okay, I really need to stop being so actively involved in this, because there's a sense of self-preservation coming through this this being that is, you know, basically just walking right beside you. And I feel that you're conscious of this being. I feel like you probably experienced them in visions, dreams. You maybe feel them in your waking life at times, just kind of that feeling of not being alone, or maybe things kind of happen around you that make you feel like there's a a light presence around you. And this confirms that totally for me. Okay. Now we're looking at this goat kind of laying here. And for me, that is so much about the wise old goat, right? But this feeling of the mental clarity of the Queen of Swords, but also being very resilient. And in your resilience or ability to be resilient, there's this knowledge of having to sometimes step back and rest, to be able to kind of lay in the shade on a hot day, or after you've ascended this steep incline, you've gotten to the top of that cliff or hill or whatever, it's time to lay down and rest. Okay, there's no such thing as staying in the grind for animals, right? They know, they follow their instinct. When you need to take some time to recuperate, to you know, have some R&R, get your energy levels back up, you do that. So I think that this is definitely a time for you to kind of slow down, contemplate what your next move is, get your kind of plan together, and, you know, really let that wisdom and intuition guide you. What I do believe, and I'm looking at this, and this to me looks kind of like, it almost looks like a ladder, but also like a tree. And what that reads to as me is kind of this tree of knowledge, but not one that's gonna make you descend right into sin or whatever. I think that this is very much this desire to maybe further your education, maybe to explore interests that you've had that you didn't have the time, energy, resources to you know, immerse yourself in. I feel like this could be really literally going back for like a formal education, maybe a certification, or you know, additional training on some specialty within your career or skill set. But I also think this could be like taking night classes, like taking some fun creative writing or cooking classes, or, you know, whatever it is that you might be interested in. I think it's just really important when you get into these places where you're at risk for having kind of an emotional low, before that really sets in, if possible, I think staying busy with learning is almost always going to be the best. The other thing I think is volunteering, being of service, right? Spending your time doing things for others. So, you know, you kind of get that dopamine from doing nice and kind things in the world, but also, you know, really kind of plays into that need for humbling ourselves, having the gratitude, being what's the word? Generous with our time and our efforts. Okay, but sometimes we need to do that with people we don't know, really. There's that kind of buffer of professionalism, but it's like relaxed professionalism within volunteering. So you don't have to get fully invested with every individual that you are coming in contact with, or whatever you're doing exactly. I don't know. But one thing is like working with shelter animals and stuff. Like, it's hard though. That's one where it's like really difficult not to like end up trying to foster like 15 animals at once. But you know, it's whatever it is that you do. I do think that this, because we're looking at the Queen of Swords, very much in that intellectual space, might really, really do well within the education. Okay, finding something that will fill your time, fill your interest, and make you feel good because you're making some kind of progress and maybe learning about even more things that you want to learn about. You know, every time I've ever taken any kind of training or you know, classes or whatever, I always like find like all these other little offshoot things that I want to go study now too. So I think that would be a wonderful, maybe a wonderful thing to do with your time for sure. And now I want to look at this one, and this one looks like we have that sleeping goat up on the hill, kind of standing up there with the chest out and the head up and confident once again. And I think that this really has so much to do with, you know, kind of stepping away from the situation, getting that rest, kind of filling your time with some things that are for you, and really coming back into your own confidence, your own power, having a more clear image, experience of the reality that you want to live in. Okay, kind of really stepping out of that chaotic, toxic cycle. And it's not even your own cycle, it's like somebody who is, you know, somehow in your life. And especially if it's your kid, I understand. I mean, I have a, you know, a small child, so I don't know yet, but I can imagine that if she ever gets into that kind of place where, you know, I have to, well, I don't have to, but, you know, if I get involved and I'm trying to help her, and it would be very hard to set those boundaries. I absolutely know it. She already has me wrapped around her little finger, that's for sure. So I get it. I know it's not easy, but I think it's really important for you, if not forever. And that's how I like to think about all the difficult things I do in life, including I'm in recovery, you know. So I don't like to think about forevers. I think about what I can do right now. Okay, I can get through today. I can probably get through tomorrow. I don't want to think about too much longer than that, you know. And hopefully, you know, you make choices to make some space for yourself so that you can do some self-work, self-care, you know, just really filling up those energy reserves that feel very depleted. And I feel that you are getting into this place, close to this place where it's like you had all these kinds of you know, things that you wanted to do with your life and in your life, and you know, and this happens to all of us. You got a little sidetracked, a little off course from them. You lost maybe the clear image of what was important for just yourself. I don't mean in relation to anybody else. And you just haven't had time for it. And I think that it's important that you make it a you know, huge priority. Maybe not number one, but close to number one priority to do this for yourself. Okay, and I feel you will feel much better for it. Okay, let's see. Okay, we have some symmetry here. Oh, we had some symmetry. That one just fell off. And I feel like this is going to be difficult because the person that, you know, you are attached to in your life does not, you know, relent. They're relentless. And they're going to be calling, texting, crying, begging, you know, all these things. And I don't know what the answer is as far as what you do with that. But I know that you have to do something, because this isn't working for you. It's not working for them. So, I think last time I mentioned maybe, you know, letting like your spouse or somebody else like take the phone calls, look at the texts. I think that if you have tried that, that should continue. There needs to be kind of a buffer there. You know, and I think that if you have the, you know, if you're privileged with the access to some kind of therapy or counseling, that would be important. That would be a really great resource for you, just to talk about things. But also, you know, I know that that's not something that everybody can do, or not open to it right now, or you don't have time for it right now. There are also lots of groups online, Reddit, Facebook, whatever. I feel like something like Reddit, and I'm not always trying to plug Reddit, but a place where it's a little more anonymous maybe is better. You know, where your name or whatever, your family is not all like kind of attached to your account. But somewhere, you know, even if like I'm in a lot of mom group type stuff, just mostly because I have questions. I'm a first time mom, and, you know, I just want to know about things. So, I kind of just lurk, you know, I just read things, pick up the information I need, kind of like pull what people are saying about things, and then figure it out for myself. But, you know, I think that that actually could be helpful too. You know, if you go on some of these forums and find some kind of support group or whatever. I mean, it's the internet, there's endless stuff. Also, I know that there are, and this is for if somebody's in addiction and you're kind of their support person or family member, there are meetings online for Al-Anon, and you can look those up. There are like tons of Zoom meetings since the pandemic and stuff. So, you know, the stuff is out there. You just have to look for it. And yeah, and I think that's going to be the reading tonight. I thank you so much for your time, Pisces. And, you know, all of my love is going to you. And, you know, I know we've all had situations arise where we are trying to help somebody and it's not, you know, it just is not working and it's stressful. Hopefully, you know, this little time for yourself will help you kind of get some perspective and maybe even see it from a perspective you hadn't before. When you create a little distance, it might be a little more clear. And so, anyways, I'm so thankful for your time. It's always such an honor to be able to do these readings for you. If you'd be so kind as to like the video, it helps me get into the algorithm, which is helping us grow the channel one person at a time. And I'm so thankful for each and every one of you. If you haven't subscribed yet, please think about doing so. You can hit the little bell. That will let you know when the next videos are coming out. And if you want to leave a comment, definitely do. I love hearing from every single one of you. If it's a little tiny comment or if it's a really long one, or somewhere in between, I read them all and I appreciate them all. Okay, Pisces, I thank you, and we will talk again very soon.